Good morning. It's Monday, October 20th. National I'm Back Baby Day. No. I am back though, but no, it's actually Diwali. Diwali, as made famous by NBC's The Office, is celebrated by Hindus and Sikhs all over the world. The more than 5-day celebration is known as the Festival of Lights because Avali means row and Deepa means clay lamps. The lights used in celebration symbolize the inner light of spirituality that protects folks from the darkness. See, and you thought it was all downhill once I started talking about The Office. No, see, I'm changed. I'm better now after this break. And now the news. I was gone for a whole week and change. I was intending to come back last week. I said I was going to come back last week, and then I came back from San Diego with a cold, so I did not come back to the news. I apologize. I'm here. Luckily, nothing too big happened while I was out, so this should be a fairly short episode. Just kidding. There was so much happened. So much happened. There will actually be 2 episodes. This will cover the news at large, and then there will be a special episode, a second episode in the feed, helpfully called Special Episode. And that one will cover the Supreme Court's case that they heard last week that will essentially, spoiler alert, probably gut the Voting Rights Act. Because you know what we always say, if you want to have a normal conversation with me, don't bring up voting because that's the rest of your day. But let's start here with the peace in the Middle East. Kind of, they tried for a couple minutes. While I was out, the chair of peace himself, President Trump, did in fact create a ceasefire deal that, while fragile, did hold-ish for a couple minutes. Last Monday, the remaining 20 living hostages that had been living in Gaza, held by Hamas, were released, which is genuinely, absolutely incredible. Hamas has also returned a few of the bodies of the dead, but say they will not be able to retrieve more bodies without special equipment because most of the bodies are below rubble that was caused by damage from Israeli attacks. However, that is a sticking point with Israel. So much so that Trump, last Wednesday, said that Israeli forces could resume attacks on the streets of Gaza, quote, as soon as I say the word, end quote. Your chair of peace, ladies and gentlemen. Trump also noted that Hamas, who, as part of this 20-point peace plan, is not supposed to have any future part of governance, is currently, quote, going in and clearing out the gangs, violent gangs, end quote. But when asked whether Hamas could also be executing innocent Palestinians, Trump said that he was looking into it. Quote, I'm doing research on it, adding, quote, it could be gangs plus, end quote. Oh yes, gangs plus, the least successful streamer of them all. So no one worry, Trump's the one deciding when Israeli forces will resume attacks, and Trump's the one doing research on Hamas. Trump, well known for his calm demeanor and research skills. So no one worry. That was last week. However, now it's Sunday. The ceasefire deal actually had, it got for as long as, no one moved or breathed or did anything. But of course, people do move and breathe and do things. On Sunday, Israel launched a series of attacks into Gaza in response to Hamas's attacks on Israeli troops. 2 Israeli troops died from Hamas's fire, and at least 18 people have died in Gaza from the Israeli-launched strikes. Additionally, Israel announced that humanitarian aid into Gaza has been paused. I'm recording this on Sunday. The strikes are fairly new. The future is uncertain. The future has been uncertain. When we know more, we'll know more. But how are things looking in this country? How is our own government functioning? Imagine you didn't know. Imagine you were like, I don't know, Kim, things seem good to me. You tell me. I haven't heard the news in a week and a half. Well, spoiler alert, they're not functioning. Welcome everyone to the 3rd longest government shutdown in history. We are on day 20 with no end in sight. So far, the Senate has failed to pass 10 budget votes, 10 of them. But what about the HESI? What's going on in the HESI? Mom, that means House. I'm going to start now talking about the House of Representatives. The House has been shut down since September 19th, over a month. Why? Well, Speaker Johnson says it's because the House has already passed a spending bill, so their job is done. And far be it for me to not take at face value the word of a man who doesn't trust himself with the internet, and so he has to rely on a porn tracking app that he shares with his son. But it could also be that the entire heezy of representatives— see, Mom, what I'm doing there is a callback. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Mom. You knew what I was doing, and I'm sorry, everyone else. I did not like calling it that. Yuck. It could also be that the entire House of Representatives is shut down because once it's back up and running, Speaker Johnson will have to swear in Adelita Grijalva, which is the latest Democrat to win in a special election. Now, swearing her in would give the final yes vote needed to make the Epstein files public. So the entire House of Representatives is closed for business so that Mike Johnson, a man who says his faith is very important to him, can protect a pedophile and every single person connected to one of the most prolific child sex trafficking rings ever. And everyone's faith is their own, but boy, oh boy, is Mike Johnson's faith interesting. Meanwhile, Trump is unsurprisingly attempting to use this to his advantage. Wait, I'm sorry, did I read that right? Donald J. Trump trying to take advantage of an entire government shutdown? That doesn't sound like him at all. On Wednesday, a federal judge blocked the Trump administration from firing thousands of federal workers, siding with unions who said that the firings were political as well as improperly handled and based on the incorrect belief that a government shutdown means that you get to do literally anything you want. That's what the Supreme Court that you handpicked is for, you goof. For now, at least. Fun fact, the Supreme Court is part of the government. And while billionaires may fund a few of our justices, they do not fund the court at large. The Supreme Court will continue doing essential businesses during this shutdown, but not unlike me every Wednesday before Thursday's paycheck drops, they too are about to run out of money. I'm kidding. But really, $10 million a year, or I walk. And hey, listen, if the government shut down anyway, why not do a full reboot? This nation was born out of a protest. And so on Saturday, every single state saw protests as No Kings rallies spread across more than 2,700 cities and towns with more than 7 million people taking part, making it the largest single-day protest in U.S. history. Though I do want to note that the largest protest in U.S. history was in 2020 for the George Floyd protests, when between 15 million and 26 million people took part at some point in the multi-day protests of the murder of George Floyd, as well as the number of Black and brown Americans who are beaten and killed by police officers every day for the crime of daring to be Black and brown in America. Those George Floyd protests happened during Trump's first presidency. And here we are, all these years later, still yelling at that man and trying to grab the attention of anyone that'll listen to tell them that there are no kings in this country. And if I sound well rested, if not a little froggy, it's because I did not go to San Diego this weekend to go march in the No Kings protest down there or watch the Wave Football Club play this weekend. And it was such a good game too. Because the president is so afraid of these protests, so afraid of us speaking out against him, that he will do anything he can to distract from them. And so on the same day as the No Kings protests, Veep Vance went to Camp Pendleton to attend a celebration of the Marine Corps' 250th anniversary. Great. I think that's great. I'm from Oceanside, where Camp Pendleton is. I'm from Oceanside because my grandpa was a Marine. I say was because he died. That's the only reason I say was, because he was a Marine until the day he died. I don't respect a fraction of an inch of this administration, but I respect the people who made the decision to be of service to this nation, which is how I know that the Marine Corps birthday is November 10th, not October 18th. Anyway, don't let them act like this was a way to celebrate the military. You want to celebrate the military? You want to respect the military? Pay the military. If they don't want to do that, that would be the adult thing to do. They are not adults. Just because someone is old doesn't make them an adult. Write that down. Anyway, let's these are life lessons I'm giving you. That's for free. That one is for free. The next one, $10 million. Anyway, instead of paying the military, they forced them to put on a show for Veep Vance. That show included firing live artillery over the 5 freeway. And so, to keep drivers safe, a 17-mile stretch of the freeway was shut down. If you don't live in California and you're not familiar with the 5, it is our main freeway in that area. Closing it down is a huge deal. So let's run it back on face value. When faced with what was always expected to be the largest single-day protest in U.S. history, based on the numbers from the last No King's Day protest, the president and vice president manufactured a fake event that allowed them to close a major freeway in the most populous state in the country, during which they used our own military to launch artillery shells across the freeway and onto U.S. soil as a show of force. Here's the thing, though. We know who that show of force was for. It was meant to scare us. He's mad. Nothing he is doing is working. He's putting the National Guard in Chicago, in Portland, in Los Angeles, and judge after judge after judge is telling them that he can't. So the National Guard troops are forced to stand down, or when they're able to stay, there's literally nothing for them to do. So newspapers show them cleaning up trash or looking bored. He's losing the morale of the troops. He's losing the optics. We know he's upset because he literally, on Saturday night, posted an AI video of him wearing a crown, being a king, flying a plane and dropping, I'm not kidding, and it's presumably early in the morning, so we'll just call it brown stuff, on protesters. And I understand that story after story, hit after hit, is exhausting. And I'm not here to belittle your lived experience or the truth of what you're feeling and the truth of what has happened. But I am telling you, if you can, when you can, take a moment and take a wide-angle lens view of this. And please understand that we are winning. He wants to be a strong man. He is not one. He's a small, sad, angry man. Those are decisions that he makes. But he only wins if we decide that he does. And I'm sorry, I just refuse to hand over my country to someone like that. And on Saturday, more than 7 million people made that same decision. And some did so in completely red states. Some did so in places where speaking out is a real danger. He is not the one who writes the end of America's story. And that's it. That's the news. As a reminder, there is another episode in the feed. It's all about voting. You're going to love it. I'm proud of 7 million people. Can you believe that? I don't even know some of them. Most of them, sure, I'm very popular, but not all of them. Also lights, lanterns, Tangled. But more than 7 million people, more than 7 billion people, more than 8.142 billion people, because you are worth asking Jeeves how many people there are in the world. I'm proud of you.